From the beginning of time, humans have always looked towards the sky for inspiration and guidance. There has been a fascination with birds, stars, gods, goddesses, and other entities which seem to exist above us, and for many humans, a strong yearning to travel into space. Man has dreamt of flight since observing space, and now it is time to become the space traveller. The future of space travel requires us to understand from where we came, to see where we are going.
Several thousand years ago, philosophers Mozi and Lu Ban from China were looking to the wind for flight. They invented kites using silk and bamboo, allowing for the later development of communication, measuring distances, testing the wind, and lifting men.
The invention of the kite brought with it the desire to fly. The first known attempts at flight were typically by leaping off towers, known as tower jumping. People in China, India, and Europe first attempted flight this way.
In 1670, Francesco Lana de Tarzi published a book that showed some interesting concepts. The concept of copper foil in a sphere with a vacuum would produce a vacuum airship. This is still not possible with today's materials. Francesco is recognized as the father of aeronautics, melding science and mathematics into aerial navigation.
The Chinese are believed to have developed the first hot air device. The Chinese lantern, using hot air from a candle, can take flight and was first used for signalling. The hot air balloon achieved the first human lift and advanced to what we know of as the Zeppelin.
The first attempts at flight in a heavier-than-air flying machine were made by more than just the Wright brothers. Most attempts failed, however, they were the stepping stones for what was to come later. The oldest airport, College Park, is still in operation today.
Airplanes evolved rapidly through the century, from propeller to helicopter to jet aircraft, and most of that technology is used today.
During the Second World War, Germany developed rockets that could go a limited distance. The basic rocket technology used then is still used today. The space race started with the Soviet Union and the USA in 1957 and led to many developments for the next step, the moon.
The spacecraft assigned as Apollo 11 was the first spacecraft to have landed on the moon. The space shuttle operated at tremendous cost. Burning the fuel proved to be wasteful and dangerous technology. The International Space Station, ISS, is a habitable artificial satellite that was assembled in low Earth orbit in 1998 with the use of the space shuttle. The ISS can often be seen with the naked eye from Earth.
SpaceX, as a private aerospace producer and space transportation services company, was founded in 2002 by Elon Musk with the goal of reducing space transportation costs and enabling the colonization of Mars. SpaceX reuses the first stage of their primary rocket, Falcon 9, by vertical propulsive landings. Although, up to present time, it still uses the rocket fuel burning technology. Mehran Keshe has always said, the time for burning fuels is over, but did we need to start with that technology in the first place?
Ancient cultures have suggested the use of an alternative means of transportation. With reference to possible plasma technology,
you can go to New York from Brussels within 2 to 5 minutes. And most of this 5 minutes is actually landing and getting up.
Mehran Tavakkoli Keshe was born in Iran in 1958. As the son of an X-ray engineer, he was introduced to the world of radiation and nuclear science at a very young age. In 1981, he graduated from Queen Mary, the University of London, as a nuclear engineer specialized in reactor technology system control. At that time, he developed a number of theoretical ideas related to more simple nuclear concepts and their applications. In 2002, he decided to finish the full design of his ideas about nuclear technology. This included the creation and control of gravity and energy by the use of nuclear materials in a clean and safe hydrogen reactor. Mehran Keshe introduced the concept of double magnetic fields to explain the magnetic and gravitational field of Earth.
Unknown by the existing scientific community, he wrote a number of scientific papers in 2004 and sent them for peer review, such as the creation of black holes. When one of the persons performing the peer review used his information in public, he decided to draw back his papers and to concentrate further on building prototypes.
Since the beginning of 2006, several prototypes of dynamic reactors have been built, some specifically designed to create hovering effects, similar to effects seen with magnetic levitation. Basic hovering effects have been achieved. 2007 brought the first flight test with radioactive material, in which the patents describe the process of the field interactions.
The main patent, Gravitational and Energy System, described the initial fundamental aspects of the plasma and uses. This was followed by the supplemental patent, Microplasma Reactors, where further uses and advancements were described. Mr. Keshe found himself in Iran in 2008 and was provided all the resources needed to create the first lift of a plasma reactor managed by the Iranian government. These special rotating gas reactors were used to control the plasma. To bring a deeper understanding, Mr. Keshe released the first book in 2009, The Universal Order of Creation of Matters, which contained many new concepts released to the public. This included the PMTIC plasma magnetic fields, initial fundamental plasma and plasma dilution technology used for space reactors. The plasma technology was further developed and it manifested in weight fluctuation in a controlled environment. 2010 introduced a new state of matter called GANS, an acronym for gas in nanosolid state. The GANS produces fields to be used in the operation of the spaceship. Advanced flight tests were performed in Iran with the guidance of Mr. Keshe and the newly designed systems.
Mr. Keshe tells us you can't bring all the doctors with you in space. Medical research advanced in 2010 and is still being explored daily all around the world. The Keshe Foundation has provided knowledge for dealing with many medical conditions in space.
A great example of plasma technology used for peaceful process is the capturing of the USA drone over Iran in December 2011. This drone was touted as one of the most advanced drones of its day and was caught by Iran using plasma to disrupt the communications. Plasma absorbs fields and the drone uses radio fields for piloting, a natural aspect of the plasma, a barrier of fields.
Book 2, The Structure of the Light, was released in 2011. This book brought forward the understanding of the structure of light as a cylindrical plasma where the light is in possession of all magnetic field strengths. Book 3, The Origin of the Universe, was published later in 2011. Mr. Keshe explained the further operation and interaction of different strengths of the same fields, which then leads to the creation of the universe. These 3 books bring forward a much deeper understanding of the plasma science that is applied worldwide by knowledge seekers and scientists in spaceship research and development.
There were 2 conferences to release the space technology to governments in 2012. The first international presentation in April, Keshe Foundation invited representatives of every country to the first presentation of the plasma technology. The second international presentation in September, Keshe Foundation invited the nations of the world through their ambassadors and their leaders to attend a gathering at the Keshe Foundation Center in Nenov, Belgium.
Space travel requires peace. The implementation of the plasma technology brings greater responsibility. In 2013, Mr. Keshe brought forward the World Peace Treaty. Signing of the peace treaty is a confirmation from yourself to your soul to act correctly in a peaceful manner.
In 2014, knowledge seekers came together from around the world to learn from Mr. Keshe, and many different experiments with reactors were performed, including improving the previously developed reactors to fit with the new knowledge, introduction of nano-coated reactors, multi-core GaN systems. The Spaceship Institute lab experiments were streamed live on the internet for all to see. SSI lab tests with reactors showed strong magnetic field pulses up to 129 Tesla and showed significant weight fluctuations. In December, an experiment was performed using reactors built by knowledge seekers from around the world. Italy, Germany, and Canada were involved in field communication tests. The tests showed that fields can interact with each other no matter the distance or time, resulting in instant communication.
In 2015, developments for space continued with different aspects of the plasma technology, such as in health, energy, and decontamination. In October of 2015, Mr. Keshe taught a popular week-long course called the Blueprint Teachings about how to build the MAGRAV power units. People from all over the world participated with building their own MAGRAV units and teaching others. With the demand of the Keshe Foundation products from all over the world, a new research center and manufacturing opened in Arizona, USA. Many developments of the technology happened in different parts of the world, and Keshe Foundation USA is no exception. John and the team started performing experiments using different sensing tools. These tools allowed the team to visualize the MAGRAV fields and to show others their interactions. With reactor formations showing positive results, partaking in the knowledge together is easier and more joyful than ever. The fun has just begun, says MT Keshe.
Mr. Keshe publicly teaches the space technology through the weekly Knowledge Seekers workshops. Plasma enthusiasts from around the world participate in gathering the knowledge and putting the puzzle together in the space race. All people, irrespective of race, nation or religion, are invited to participate in the exchange of knowledge, thus assisting humanity to live within the ethos of the universe. It is recognized that international cooperation and peace is a prerequisite for mankind to journey into deep space. Individuals and nations are invited to come together in the spirit of collaboration and unity to enable peaceful application and the use of plasma technology for space travel, food, agriculture, energy, transportation, health, and more. We are excited to release the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Blueprint to humanity.
Welcome everyone to the 223rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, May 10th, 2018. I'm your host today, Rick Crammond, and once again, we'll be joined with Mr. Mayran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, who I believe is ready to go with today's show. Hello, Mr. Keshe, are you there?
Yes, good morning, good evening, good day to you as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to these weekly teachings. The Knowledge Seekers workshops has taken root in a different way in different part of the world. And in so many ways in our teachings, we give so many messages of knowledge and understanding. And each one of us takes from it what he can understand and one can develop. Next week is the week where becomes the month which we ask the knowledge seekers to start developing the spaceship system, that we can see who might be able to understand more, that can share the knowledge with others. So next Thursday, we try to ask all of you who have tested, tried, anything to do with the space development in the motion or energy of the motion, to share with us. Doesn't matter how little or how big the system is the knowledge sharing that brings the new ethos in the work of the scientific world. That means we share unconditionally. It might not be nothing to us. Maybe we just don't even think what we've done is important. But it can enlighten somebody's stream of knowledge that they might add a bigger dimension to the knowledge of humanity with the space. There's a lot of development going on. As I said before, I have put all my effort to back the Chinese spaceship program, and hopefully in the coming weeks we will be able to show more what can be done, what has been achieved. It is a total inclusive space system, never been developed, never been shown, and will be one of the most advanced systems. We expect to achieve lift and motion in a very rapid way, very similar to the Iranian system. I thank the Chinese team which is working with me very hard. We should be able to put everything together in the next 2 weeks, maximum 3 weeks, and then with the cooperation of the Chinese government to be able to test in secure environment with cooperation of all the Chinese forces. I thank all the Chinese government who officials and the people who are in the background are accommodating such a test and such a development for humanity. No nation can be served better than one nation, which is all of us. And in that process, we all be benefited by the new developments. There are new technologies, new understanding, which has been released to the Chinese community for development of this technology. We are keeping it apart due to security reasons and understanding that when it's fully developed, it will be released. Many parts of the patent, which has never been understood, or the people who could not connect it, has been released in detail to the Chinese developers. This will change the course of humanity without a shadow of doubt. We will show a different dimension, not as a military, but as a way of space travel. This gives us new dimension. This will give us new understanding. This process, which is very much detailed, no one has ever developed such a system. It is, and it will be combination of the lift, motion, control, developed on materials, health system, everything integrated into one spaceship. As I said, we are working as a team of group of Chinese, and we will succeed. Without a shadow of a doubt, that will be the gift to Presidency of China. That through the development of this technology will enforce peace through understanding of the power of the financial and economical power of the nation. We have nothing to hide, but in that process, the Chinese system, a space system, is so comprehensive that it'll bring shock into the world of science in every aspect. Many of you, you'll be shocked in what you will see, and it'll be brings the science of space technology some 200-300 years ahead. This is a decision I made in response to what is happening around the world. We literally developed the space technology to such a level that we make every machinery, every aircraft obsolete at the stroke of my pen. This is my decision, and I've decided to do it. And we will show the power of the new space technology. We land, will develop, and it'll be developed in such a way that many systems will be simultaneously released across this planet through the Chinese government. I have committed my foundation and the peace work of the foundation with the Chinese nation, and I stand firm to it. In understanding the new space technology and in what we are about to achieve, we have to understand new science, new ethos, new ways. One of the biggest problems for the new development will be time and space. There has been many discussions in the world of science. What is time and what is the space? And can we change the space with time, or can the effect of time bring new space dimension to us? In so many ways, space and time does not exist. The space and time only exist according to what we call gradient, depreciation, loss of energy, or time for the loss of energy as we have defined before. But Does the time exist in the world of the universe? No, it never does, it never did. The beginning and the end is the same time. The structure is the process of coming back to the origin. In one dropping from or reducing in one strength creates space, and with it, it creates time. Time does not exist in the realm of creation because it's all is as it is, and it's no more and no less. Time has become dimension of existence for man. When the man opens the new dimension into space, as we are doing so, we'll come to understand there is no time limitation. We can cross the boundaries of the universe in no time. If we understand the process of the creation, and this is what is very much puzzling to human being. He cannot understand that you can change the dimensions of existence through a strength of the field and not through the loss of the strength. This is what has determined the life of the man and the duration of the man on this planet or beyond. When you achieve the dimension of the soul of the man, this would not exist, as the soul travels or reaches the point of its, what we call, pivotal point, at the point of departure from the body of the man. We can give to it or we can take from it if it needs to give to receive more to elevate itself. But at the same time, it has no time. At the point of separation from the physicality of body of the man, the time stops for the soul of the man, because it joins through the dimension of the existence of the universe, which has no time and no dimension. This becomes important for our travels to space in a very, very short time, in a rapid way. How do we travel the spans of the universe when there is no time and no space, no dimension? But in a way, we see the universe in the eye of the man, and everything is physical. There are galaxies we observe. There are clouds. There are human beings. There are other entities we observe, and we put a time to it. 40 years, 60 years, 100 years, 1,000 light years. This is in the dimension of the existence of the observation of the man's understanding. From other strength of dimension, this is irrelevant. It's the life of a butterfly, one day only, if you want to consider it that way. What you call billions of years for this and that is literally is at the point of inception of the creation. Then we understand. For man to be able to create and exist in all dimensions of the universe, he has to understand the essence of the creation. The essence of understanding what makes one to be created and what makes one to create. Excuse me, somebody's mic. We have to understand that the dimension of existence belongs to one thing, and that's the Creator. Once man achieves flight, and once he understands the handling and the process of the development of the fields and conversion of the fields to other fields, will reach and develops new plasmas, not necessarily matter state, then man will become very mature very fast to understand the rest of the process. At the moment, with the ganses and any other thing which we have shown, and as is shown in other research centers of the Keshe Foundation, we are converting the energies of the plasma into matter state. But the maturity will come when the man can convert the plasma to another plasma, or by conversion of the plasma reaches the point of the creation. What this means is the elevation of the soul of the man to a higher dimension. And if one day we understand this process, then man can elevate his soul to the soul of the Creator, to be in touch with, to be part of, but not ever become. Those who understand the word of wisdom understand what it means. So, in reality, for us as human being in the dimension of physicality of ourselves, now that we take ourselves into the space, we find out this physical body of the man is nothing but mirage, has no existence, has no tangibility, has no dimension and no time. Because once we create systems that are more powerful than what we know, we get diluted within it. We become part of it. Read my papers, read my books. I've written about plasma dilution technology. Maybe now you can understand more. Interatomic fusion is what we call dilution of the plasmas. When you dilute in, when the stronger power comes in, the tangibility of existence is nothing, become invisible. It's very much like you have a block of sugar and you drop it in a boiling hot water. The tangibility disappears. But the essence of the sugar, the sweetness of it, is within the water. That will be what the man will become to understand. Man in the first flight systems will lose his tangibility, the way we see, the way we observe. But at the same time, if you let the water dry again and evaporate, you'll get the sugar crystals back. Not necessarily the shape you want, but you can still shape it the way you want. If at the beginning it was a cubic, now that you dry it, you can allow it to take the shape of what you like. This will be the essence of the creation of recreation of man in a new dimensions. Many of you expect to travel in the space with the same physicality as you have, but you'll find out this mirage of thinking shall become another fallacy in understanding of man in the dimension of creation. The dimension of the reactors, the space dimension, is so more powerful that in it to be able to achieve this, reaching its destination, the physicality of the man becomes that sugar in our water. The powers are so immense that they don't lose physicality of the man in the dimension as it is. And then at the point of destination, the same as drying the water, evaporating it to find a new dimension in the crystal, as the sugar the way it is, to apply in the position or condition which has been applied to it, then you understand new features and new dimensions. There is a big question how we always see what we call the people from outside dimension in the visuality of ourselves on this planet, because they do the same thing. In essence, in their shape, they are that block of sugar, which is dissolved but exists. In appearance to the man, now we condition them into the condition of atmospheric condition of this planet and the field for this planet. So they take the nearest shape to the man that man can relate to, that understands of their existence. So shall be for the man. In a coming time, many of you, as you experiment, you'll find out you still carry the physicality of the man when you walk out of the space. But within it, you have no physicality but the tangibility of the essence of the soul of the man. As the physicality as higher dimension of strength cannot exist, as it surpasses the energy and the field strength of the entity of the man as a human being. There is going to be a lot of new understanding. There is going to be a need for new ethos in how we handle in the conditions. We were merciful to show the captured drone. Next time, will not be there to be shown. Because by saturating, it becomes dissolved in this condition. As it has no soul, it cannot replicate itself. This is how we will enforce peace on this planet from now on. When man does not have the tools of killing, man cannot kill. This is the tool, and this is one of the reasons we are speeding up the new process of the development of the space reactors. The new spaceships, that multitudes of them can be developed, that every single tool of harm by man will not be there to attain and do. This is my response to those who claim a new war. Now the new war from Keshe Foundation is total disarmament. Absolute disarmament. The way we see the sugar dissolves in a matter state in the hot water, so do crafts and ships in the high value plasma, released and controlled. But as the soul of the man has a control over physicality of the man can remanifest this. Guns, bullets, and ships have no soul. So we end up with the whole process. This is my wish, and shall be done. We can take the dimension to the strength of the soul of the man within these crowds, and then the souls are committed. Man will understand more and more. Now that we have committed ourselves to the new generation of the development of the spaceships, we make it pocket size. Is the new system is pocket size. It can be carried in a child's school lunchbox. Anyone who is a man of peace can set it up and develop it and use it. Many of you have been looking for energy systems. These new space reactors, these new spaceship systems create so much energy that any of you can tap into it from the source. The way man gets his light and energy from the sun, these will be adopted that they release energy according to the physical matter state of the man, that he can do what he likes with. Now we understand the new development. We can land, we can take off, we can do whatever we like with the new systems that man could not even imagine. As my team is learning more and more, I add more and more control systems that it can be done, that it brings slow understanding of the completion of the system. Lift and motion, creation of material, condition of the exertion of the soul of the man, condition of creation of energy beyond imagination of the man. Full comprehensive disarmament through condition of the electromagnetic fields and plasma condition that no matter can withstand. Now the war is on those who are warmongering, not on those who are the peaceful nations. You will understand and see the response to the new technology in a very, very short time. Will disarm any system which is created to harm mankind. Nuclear, non-nuclear. Without sanctions, without harming, we just take the tools out of the game. I have made in the past few days a decision that the Chinese spaceship system will be the most complicated, most complete system man has ever seen, and we deliver it through the Chinese government's military forces and space system, and no other way. We enforce peace through the knowledge and the new understanding, and we make the tools of the war of the past obsolete. We've shown it with the drone, we will show it with nuclear weapons. There shall be no nuclear weapon that can harm any man on this planet to be an excuse for the others to create war because of it. But be warned, those who carry the nuclear weapon in their premises stand the chance of themselves. If I was you, being Iranian, being Israeli, being American, being Russian, work very fast to get rid of your nuclear weapons, because they will have no use. I've disguised myself on the name of the nuclear physicist, so I know what the game is. A nuclear warhead can only launch if the system for it to ignite works. When it doesn't work, what use does it have? War by threat. Lion with no teeth. We push through technology, through understanding of new science for peace, and we have the knowledge and the power to deliver it without a single bullet. As I said to one of the military leaders very recently, very soon the criminal court of Den Haag will be full of world leaders of present time. I wonder what they have to say. We saw the ex-communist world leaders to line up. Now we see the Western leaders to line up in the same court very soon, justifying the murders they have carried out on the name of whatever. Abuse of power at the point of being at the seat of power. And by return, we deliver the space technology to all the nations equally and simultaneously through the Chinese government's discretion and what they see in peaceful nations. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe, and maybe we can get you to adjust the microphone a little bit there. Thank you. Anyone in the attendees that would like to ask a question, you can put your hand up. I see Fernando does have his hand up. We'll need a translator for him. Ursula, can you do that perhaps? Ursula, oh, I think we have to allow.
I'm here also.
Hopefully. Thank you, John.
Okay.
Fernando, ¿qué deseas preguntar?
Okay, let me allow Fernando to speak. Hello, Fernando. Do you have a question today?
Fernando, ¿tienes una pregunta hoy?
I think he's opened it by mistake.
Sure, I can't see his microphone on my chat window anymore. I'll try promoting him to a panelist and see if he can speak that way. Okay. She was in. What happened? Fernando, are you there? Don't see. Oh, there you go. Oh, you came in.
Buenos días.
Hello.
Buenas
Hello.
Buenos días, Fernando. Good morning.
Buenos días, buenas tardes. Gracias, John. La pregunta no es mía. Y ahora voy a presentar a un buscador de conocimiento y la pregunta no es mía, sino de él. Si se puede traducir, por favor, aunque él hable inglés.
This is a question done by a third party. It's not his, but this person understands English. So, ¿lo va a presentar en inglés o en castellano, Fernando?
In English.
Fine, go ahead.
I am Carlos from Veracruz. Hi, John. Greetings from Monterrey. I am Carlos in the. Well, I want to know what the materials I need to make the carbon guns that talk in the workshop 220.
What do you mean by the carbon guns?
¿Qué querés decir? ¿El CO2? ¿El anhídrido carbónico?
The guns you explained in the knowledge 220 for the guns of the carbon for obtaining diamonds.
Aha. The jeweler.
I want to create the guns of carbon for obtain diamonds of the material carbon for make diamond.
Why do you want to make diamond?
I want to make diamond for me for
Is
I
she
want
beautiful?
for I have all of dances. Do you explain in the knowledge?
What kind of diamond do you want to create? And who for?
John, buenas tardes, buenos días a todos.
Y Fernando, Mr. Keshe pregunta, ¿para qué
acerca de
quiere?
la producción de diamantes.
Sí, fenómeno, entendimos eso. Mr. Keshe pregunta, ¿para qué quiere los diamantes? ¿Qué uso le quiere dar?
Eso es lo que yo pregunto, pero el señor quiere saber. I want to create the guns of carbon for I want diamond for living Veracruz. I want to have. Bueno, I want have.
He wants diamonds.
I want diamond. Yes, there.
Then all the teaching is in 220. It should be
Yes,
easy.
I want to know what the materials I need. I want to know what the materials I need to make the carbon guns.
Carlos, primero tiene que aprender a hacer los palotes, ¿eh? Aprender todo el sistema de la ética, el ethos, y después aprenderás a hacer los diamantes. ¿Qué te parece?
Okay, thank you.
Can you explain what you said?
I have told him has to learn how to...
De aprender a hacer oro para ser ricos, tienen que aprender la esencia de la vida. Pero era la pregunta del Señor y fue respondida.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
Thank you.
I told him he first had to learn how to walk before learning how to make diamonds, and Fernando told him the same thing, but use the gold way of
Yeah, there
heating.
is something, I understand, I understand. A lot of people would like to have it. That's why I said, who is it for? Is it for the lover? So we have to understand why. There is something important which maybe we have to explain coming from this discussion or question. And that is, if you remember, when we produced um, what we call the CO2, one thing which a lot of people don't remember or can comprehend is that we created the field of carbon in the water, not the carbon. If you go back into the same structure as the dynamic reactors and you put in CO2, you created the fields of CO2. Many of you can do two things. You can take an empty bowl and place it in the center of your CO2. What you'll capture is the essence of the carbon in field strength without any water. This is important for a lot of you if you understand what I'm talking about. But as I said, in the dynamic reactors, I was explaining this to the Keshe Foundation team again this week because I think this is something a lot of you never understood. When you put these balls into motion, and then when you stop your motor, you see the gases collapse. But if you have left this ball in the center, the fields in the center, in that ball, or here, if you empty the bucket, have not collapsed. The ball carries the fields of the plasma of the totality of what is being collected. Because in these fields here, you have the gases which are rotating and they collapse. But here, the fields are created and is literally like the beginning of the creation of life. They don't have the same entity as the field forces from outside. Now, as these fields, in a way, if you look at it, have been interacting, they have created a different dimension of fields among themselves. So the field inside this box is different than the gas outside, because some has a slowed down here, some are at this strength, some have crashed at this strength. So in a way, this empty box, due to the man's eye of physicality, should be nothing in it. But if you have taken it from the center of a system, if you have taken it from the center of the box in a hollow ball, and you allowed it to create its interactions, it is a soul on itself. If you understand this, you can use this to confirm which is correct. Watch the field interaction between the two. Do you remember when we had a discussion with our minister in Accra, as I suggested to him, if he could not understand and he accused us of selling water, and his son was a PhD in pharmaceutical or whatever, I said, take a glass of my water and take a glass of your water, and then add some of my water into the water cup which you have, and measure the alkaliness. And the minister shut up for good. It's the same here. Take the two balls and let them interact. You will see new phenomena. Up to now, every time you collapsed or you put the empty ball, you thought, oh, it's just the empty, the gases. Because you're so physical, you don't understand, you don't want to comprehend. You have created a new life. Egg and sperm, in multiplication, create that soul. That soul doesn't die because the body has died. This is what a lot of you who are working in the plasma technology have to understand. The longer you allow the system to stay within the dimension of rotation empty or whatever, it creates more in-depth fields interactions. It has a new life, it has a new dimension. But because man is so physical, it looks at, oh, I switched the motor off and that's it, it's gone. Did the soul of the man finish when the physicality of the man is gone? When you have an accident, you lose leg, arm, or whatever part of the body, does it take from your soul, or the soul is already created? And if you understand this, then you can even use the soul of the man to create the amputated part of the body of the man. This is what I explained before. If the physicians understand, when you remove a kidney, now you have to go and find a kidney. No, take a kidney out, but create a condition and the kidney will grow in there because it has this gravitational magnetic field in that part of the body of the man. You don't need to transplant one kidney from one body to another. You have to bring the essence of the creation of it and space it. It will develop kidney. Where do you think the kidney of the man always places in the same place? Because the field interaction dictates this is the place for the kidney, this is a place for liver or heart. Now that we take dimension into space travel, we have to understand how we can make elements, organs, out of the interaction of the fields of the plasma of the universe. I want to make gold. I want to make diamond. No problem. You want to become a diamond dealer, you can have as much diamond as you want. But I'll give you a very bad warning. From some years ago, if you come up with a diamond, you have to come up with a birth certificate for it. Otherwise, it's called the blood diamonds and it's a criminal offense. So be careful, you make very meager small diamonds. And if you make a big diamond, make sure your wife doesn't show it to no one, because then you have to show a certificate for it. Don't ask me how I know. I know. Now, every diamond has to have a certificate. It was born, it's become a human, because now we can love and put emotion into it. And if you cannot show it, then it's a big problem nowadays. Or at least that theoretically what should happen. Any other question?
Governments want to know where even a certain rock comes from. They want to own everything.
Who?
A government or whoever is in power. That's why they want to know where the diamond comes from.
Very soon, they want to know how much you breathe that they can tax you. And then if you become a man of space, you don't breathe, you pay no taxes. Any other question?
Yes, we have a question from Renee about plasma fields in general. Allow you to speak there, Renee. You should be able to go ahead there now.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. This is Rene speaking.
You have a microphone in the background.
Yeah, you have to turn your speaker down or turn
Okay,
off.
is it better now?
Yep. Where are you from?
I'm from Austria,
Yeah.
and I make some experiments with magraphs here, and the question is about plasma fields in general. So, as I understand it, if I have two magraph devices, I have a field flow between these two plasmatic fields. And when I make a connection between these two magraphs with nanowires, then in my thinking, I made a kind of street for the plasma to travel. So the question is, did plasma travels always the short way, or did it travel through the nanowires? If I make some
First of all, what you're talking about, fields of the plasma, not the plasma. Am I correct?
Okay, the fields. Yes, I talk about the fields.
The fields of plasma, you can use nanomaterial. Then you restrict it to the field strength of the material you use to nanocoat. That's a filter point. And on the other hand, you have to remember that the fields move by matching. So you have to have a match or nearest to it of gravitational magnetic field strength that you can travel or be able to move from one to another. If you have two magraph systems, you have to consider that which and how you made it. If it's made the same, there is hardly any transfer of fields from one to another. Whenever you want to create a movement or a motion, as we always said, one has to be in one way, magnetically or gravitationally, weaker or less than the other, that by trying to match up, you create a current. Current flow in plasma is the cornerstone of its existence. So if you have made two magraph systems exactly the same, you will not see much transfer because it's imbalance. If you make with, let's say, CH3 coated and one with zinc, then you should be able to see some difference, some flow. But if both are made of CH3, the same thing, there is no flow, very, very little. And if you use nanomaterials to conduct them, we do it, we've done it, we've shown it in even connecting the reactors in the space testing in 4 or 5 years ago. We connected the reactors through nanowires. But you have to have the gradient of flow. Any other question?
Yeah, Mr. Keshe, thank you. I have another question about GANs, if it is okay. So I use the three main GANs for my experiments. So only CO2 and COO and CH3. And I put these three GANs in a triangle shape and place it in the center of a plant that I put in a bottle with, and I want to show an effect when the plant grows. And I noticed that the CH3 completely disappears within 2 months, and not the CO2 and not the COO. And I did this test 3 times. I made it always the same conditions, and every time the CH3 completely disappears. And then
CH3 does not disappear. CH3 is on the order of the energy giving, so it gives its energy to its environment. It doesn't disappear. It's a plasma. So it means the environment around it needs that energy, but don't forget CH3 is of the weakest. So it gives up the higher order to receive, so it depletes its own energy faster. That's how the sugars work in the body of the man.
so if I see that when I say that it disappears, I mean the CH3, the particles are no longer visible. So there is only water in the
yeah, but it means the environment that takes the energy from it is sugar, and if you have a plant which is sugar based, it's of the same, is feeding it.
Okay, thank you.
CH3 is the essence of life, sustaining life and creation on this planet, because it links up with the carbon, and then the hydrogen has the common denominator to feed the energy needs. It's like, in a way, if you look at it, you have 2 ships. You throw an anchor over, and then you put a board and you transfer food from one to another. Carbon is that board, and hydrogen is what they carry from one to another. Which one it needs feeding? With the amino acid connection of CHCO, what they call coherent COHN and CH3, if you look at it, the link is the carbon, which is equal balance, and then the sugar, which is H3 in the order of what I call plasmatic, compared to 1H of the amino acid, is more powerful. So it gives to it to make it both what they call H2, to lose one, for the other one to gain one, that they both become balanced. And that's the time when the protein stop taking energy from the sugar. But if the protein itself is in a dynamic environment, so it continuously takes from the what they call CH3, the H3 part of it.
If we look at the COHN, the nitrogen is what this sustains life on Earth, or the origin of life on Earth, and carbon then is the link, and the oxygen and the hydrogen is what gives you the equilibrium, the force between the oxygen and the hydrogen. That's why we've got acidity and alkalinity.
The alkalineness I was explaining is amazing when you explain things and how you lot come to it. The alkalineness is the level of the conversion of the energy of the hydrogen to oxygen, or the energy of oxygen to hydrogen, to become acidic. So the same water, depending on the conversion of its energy in its plasmatic condition, becomes alkaline or acidic. You don't need to add anything to it. You just have to create the condition for it, that it starts giving to or taking from. The waters, the alkalineness of the water does not change because you add something. It changes because the field transfer becomes changed. The alkalineness is the amount of energy you can receive. You can do it by the ratio difference to make the condition of alkalineness, but not necessarily the alkalineness of the water in comparison to another source.
You mentioned the experience in Ghana about incrementing the pH of the water. This experience is also, we've seen how one of the blokes there in Europe has a bottled water. He doesn't open the bottles, he just puts it in presence of plasmatic water, and the pH of these bottled waters change.
Of course it does. You understand it, because it means the plasma is giving or taking from it. You want to increase the pH, there is one metal you put next to it, and then the pH takes a nosedive. And there is another metal you can make it, and just the pH goes up to 14, 15. You have to understand the plasmatic gravitational magnetic field strength spectrum of the hydrogen or oxygen. If you add to the oxygen, you become more alkaline. If you add towards the hydrogen, you become acidic. So in a way, environmental condition can change the acidity of the or alkalineness of the water, any liquid. I thought this was understood a long time ago, but it seems nobody understands this. You don't need to add chemicals or whatever. You can mimic it by ratio difference, or you can find the condition in a parameter by gravitational magnetic field to deplete or add to hydrogen or oxygen to create that condition of alkalineness, or what we call taking of gravity towards. If you understand this, you can fly any system within seconds. Or it seems somehow the knowledge is not being translated. It is not understood to be translated the right
Uh, you're saying also that we could have an alkalinity of over 14 then. You mentioned 15.
way. You can go to highest level you can ever imagine. What depends what you're talking, what you want to gravitate to. Your alkalineness is a condition of the hydrogen interaction with oxygen in this planet. When you change the gravitational field strength of the planet, then you want the alkalineness of 200, 300? Or do you want to go minus 20 or 50? You have to understand the knowledge, not just copycat it. You want to make alkalineness of 20, 100? I can make it for you, you can do it yourself. It's a speed of light situation. You remember the guy that said the maximum speed of light is this, and everybody accepted it? Because nobody understood the concept and the principle behind the speed of light. It's the same with alkalineness. There is no limit into it. It's the limit of taking. Universe takes the center of galaxy has an alkalineness of 1 million. And on the edge of it has acidity of minus 400. Why do you have alkalineness in the center and acidity on the edge? You haven't understood the principle, so you're still lost in the what I call maze of knowledge.
Yeah, see, it's a question of grasping the concept.
No, it's understanding the principle. Grasping it, you might fall and lose it. Understanding it becomes part of the knowledge. Comprehension is more important than remembering or grasping. Any other question?
Yes, we have a couple of questions in the Q&A. One from Boris. How much time we have to let the hollow ball in the reactor to build up the fields?
It depends what environmental condition have you created for the field. If you have a bucket of lead somewhere nearby, forget about it.
Okay, there's another question from Brett related to the center core. He says, Mr. Keshe never seems to mention that the center core is held by a nano rod within the reactor that holds the ball. Am I missing something? This should also be within the ship.
What? What? Which ball, which rod?
Mm-hmm.
What my question is that within the patents, there's always a center rod, a nano-coated center rod, yes?
Yes.
So
that is a feeding line. You can bring it to the minimum. It tells you it's adjustable.
So okay, but my question is that if you were to draw in those reactors, those two reactors that are sitting on your screen there right now, and you put say a yellow ball in the middle of the two of those, and then you put a rod from the top to the bottom, wouldn't that dictate where the plasma is going to manifest in the middle of that?
No. You could be pulling it out of the system too. Mm-hmm. Exactly. It can give as much as it can take. Or is it a position that you get it exactly right?
So the reason I asked this is that I made some balls and I handed them out to people. There's nothing in them except a field interaction that I created, and these were non-believers. There's nothing in the balls, and now they're believers because they hold the balls in their hands and they get so much energy that they can't believe that they get that much energy. And actually some of them I had to even move out of the house because they were interacting with my GANs making. So because I put a plate of titanium on the outside of my coils, and then what I created inside the balls was there was so much energy in them that I had to actually move them out of the house.
Good morning. Now you understand what I said. The balls are not empty.
No, they're not. I understand that. But I had to move them out of the house, and that wasn't good enough. I had to move them even further out because they were interacting with my GANs making, which is
in a understanding of the totality of the field forces, man has to close his eyes to physicality. If you stand between those two balls and hold your hand and move away, you will still show the same energy.
That's what I found, yes.
That's what I know. You don't need to find it. It was explained long time ago in the teachings. It's just, as I said, our people are deaf. They don't want to listen.
So let me just recap the center pin. You see, I always had it in my head that even in a ship, the central plasma should have a central pin. So even the plasma within the star formation, there should be a central pin there, because that's just what I always imagined was there. and it just seems quite strange that I'm putting together reactors with a central pin in them, a nano-coated central pin with a glass ball, so that I can spin my ganses and have my central plasma. So I'm confused.
Could I put this?
You shouldn't be confused. Your confusion is between understanding that space has energy, you don't need to carry a matter. And you're so connected to matter that the space has no meaning for you.
Could I add, Mr. Keshe, one doesn't have a pin in one's head to hold the soul there, does he?
Most probably.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Indeed.
Krasmir asks, Mr. Keshe, is there a way to isolate the environment of the star formation from the nearby fields? Can we use magnets or ganses or nano-coated coils to isolate the reactors and the fields inside?
Can you repeat again, please?
Okay, from Krasmir, he says, Mr. Keshe, is there a way to isolate the environment of the star formation from the nearby fields? Can we use magnets or ganses or nano-coated coils to isolate the reactors and the fields inside?
The only way you do, this is what I do with American drones. Build a more powerful that encompasses than it lives within it. You have to bring a homogeneity. You've got to be homogeneous, otherwise it doesn't happen. What it is sometimes when I listen to this rhetoric, it makes me laugh. How am I going to expand this? You see, if you have your maglev system here, so you create to have a homogeneous, you still have an interaction. You need to create a maglev system that surpasses this. Then you can do whatever you like. Then it's homogeneous in every direction.
Some of the reactors, Mr. Keshe, you've used, or people have used a copper or nano-coated or other type of metal shield, let's say, on the top of the reactor.
Irrelevant. Nano coating creates a field barrier strength. If you use a copper nano coated, it means you block up to copper. If you use zinc, you block up to zinc. It's a filtering. This is why we tell you when you use these reactors, what to do is to, especially for a space flight, try to put a nano-coated base on the legs of your maglev system. That you create that separation, that isolation, that you're on a bed of fields, not a matter state. Any other question?
Yes, we have a question from Gare. Just promoting him here. Gare, can you, I'm not sure if you can unmute. You should be able to unmute there and say who you are and where you're from. Let's see, do we have to unmute? I'll try to unmute you there. Go ahead, Gare. Hello? Hello, Gare? Do you want to speak? Go ahead, your microphone. You have to turn down your speakers in the background so it doesn't, or put on headphones. Okay, can you speak now? Hello, Gare, can you speak? Can you go ahead? We don't hear you. Perhaps there's a problem with your microphone. Okay, we'll have to wait to hear from Gare, apparently. I think it's having some difficulty there with the microphone. Is there any other questions from our panelists or attendees? Or in the other, we have a question in the live stream. Let me see. That's not a complete question yet. With Danielle, he's something about, I have aluminum in cold caustic. Oh, I have aluminum in cold caustic to release hydrogen. This gas flows into a container that has a nano-coated copper plate and filled with seawater. This produces a baby blue GANs. Would this be hydrogen GANs?
Don't know.
Is that the color of that people report on hydrogen GANs? The baby blue
You know
color?
what I keep on saying, whoever's got a mustache is not your uncle. Huh?
Krasmir has another question. He's not sure if it's been asked today. Mr. Keshe, after we have created the empty ball plasma inside a GAN's cores, can we remove the outside GAN's cores and leave only the innermost empty plasma ball, and it can interact with another empty plasma ball from the star formation? It might be hard to do it while it's all working, he says. I'm not hearing you there, Mr. Keshe, if you have an answer to that one.
Can you repeat it?
Okay, it's from Krasmir. After we have created the empty ball plasma inside a GAN's core,
Antiball.
Empty ball plasma inside a GAN's core, can we remove the outside GAN's core and leave only the innermost empty plasma ball, and it can interact with another empty plasma ball from the star formation?
Yes. If you go back to, we tried to show that plasma does not need container.
Yes, you brought this up several times recently,
Yeah,
actually.
and it's us because we are so materialistic we do it. I remember in one of the teachings from Caroline in in Bari, in Valletta, she showed, and we're trying to explain that by holding your hand, you can hold the plasma in your hand, and how you can do it. If now we go back to those teachings, um, you you can do, and if you understand, transferring the energy from the inner being of the body of the man to that, and you can place it in a dynamic system. The system still flies, still will react, interact. I remember, I think if I'm correct, in one of the teachings, medical teachings, we have referred to this, that you can actually place a plasma within the, for elevation of the soul of the man. It goes to one of the medical teachings, health teachings. You have to understand is very much, this is part of the health teachings, which I was yesterday, it just happened to pop in. I explain, if this is your body of the man, if you put your hand here, if this is you, and you have, let's say, we can put another hand here, the transformation of energy is there. You can do a lot of things, but man has to learn this. In a space we don't have pads and whatever. The pad is your hand. It's you who decides what energy, what field will go from another to another. But the confidence is not there. The man doesn't understand it. He hasn't realized the power of his own soul. You can eradicate anything. I can remove the brain cells of a body without even you seeing the body moving. Still functions. But not necessarily the way you want. You can influence it to the line of thoughts. So you talk about a pad, you get a body and you put a pad there and you put a pad there. My God, have you ever seen more versatile pad than the hand of the man? And then if you understand it more, have you ever seen anything more powerful than the soul of the man? You just get in it. I want the arm to be fixed. The arm shall be fixed. And it says, miracle, I thought of it. Because it means you haven't understood the power of carry. This is what I said recently. I can take the life from the soul or the soul from the life. Either way is the choice of the ones who want to try it. This is very interesting if you go back to what I said last week, especially directly to what situation we see in Middle East. I explained, and we saw in the response past couple of days by the American president, says we love the Iranian nation and it's just the leadership. You don't touch a nation. You love a nation, you don't touch a nation. So deal with the leaders of the nation if they are wrong, and if you are not wrong yourself. We have the power to interfere either way. And when we say is understanding this principle on the screen, if you love a nation, you don't bomb a nation. And if you bomb a nation, you bomb yourself through the soul of the man. Because That's why I teach this way so blindly and so openly. You don't need, if you registered and you had seen 2 paths, medical paths, you have to adjust your hands, your body, your soul, according to your own understanding of the function of your physicality. And this is what it is. You are so physical, so we've been going round and round in what's called the merry-go-round, because man is not mature enough. You make ganses and you put it in the patches. What is the body of the man made of? Ganses. And are the 2 ganses the same? Is the body of the man different? It's just who you have to decide which way to flow. I wonder if I can find a plastic bag in a space to put some water and some tissue, toilet paper in it, if they use toilet paper in a space to make a pad. You see, it's very simple. If this is the soul, if this is the soul of the man, and this is the soul of another man, and this is the body of the man, and this is the body of another man, and what I need to understand is to understand the field interaction between the 2 souls. If I allow my soul to be lower, then I take the whole soul. Goodbye. Because this soul has set at a given function, at given strength for this body to operate. This is the problem with man. He always looks that it's got to be stronger to give. But in fact, if you are weaker, you give more, because what is needed is taken and is given. What is not needed, which is a higher strength. I can take a life of a president with a flick of a finger. The body will be there. And I can give life the way I've done to Neil. It's just people don't understand. But we still teach the science. You're in a nursery, and the child needs to know what's the straight line and what is a bad line if he can hold the pen. Doesn't matter if you're a professor and you know all the riddles of the universe, that child needs to be taught how to hold the pen and how to draw a straight line. Now we speak all languages, from teaching a little child to the professor. And the president does not even come to the point of knowing what the pen is yet to hold it. My knowledge is complete, and if I take revenge, I wipe out. I don't know rhetoric, I know the science knowledge of universe. You went and you created all these paths, then you put it across the body, we saw it with Giovanni, and then you have a big pad which can control it according to you want. The difference with this pad is it's got 5 fingers. Do you remember when we spoke about the vegetables and I said leaves have these fingers and each one absorbs different energy? So is this. You decide what energy you want to put in the pad, make make it the brain, make it the space-time of this planet. So what's the difference? You believe in the pad, and it does miracles, cures cancer. But the pad which you have a full control over, you do not consider, because you don't understand. How you position your fingers on the head, how you touch it flat, all these things count, and you have no comprehension. I was explaining a teaching yesterday. Those who've been through the process which they want to achieve, I just put my hand on the back of the head, direction directly to the soul of the man. And you can make any man to see. It takes me a second to see a blind to see. And I've done it, I've shown it can be done. You believe in paths and you sell them? I believe in the power of the creation of the man and the power he can do. And secondly, why do you need a pad if the guy is too far out? He sits in the White House. He's very powerful. I'm meager. He feeds me. Goodbye. You can tune to a satellite. I can tune to a soul. We enforce peace through the knowledge. We don't talk, we love, and then we kill and bomb. We just take. Even if it means to make an example of it. Don't push me, I will show it. There are no kings and no presidents in the universe. We are all equal. We know how to serve. It's the same process. And I keep on teaching it, and you keep on forgetting it. And the guy says, I can take it, I can take a pole out. He's still powerful. This is exactly what we've been touching all the time. I was explaining to Arman how we can use our factories for the space technology. You got a lot to learn. And there is no magic, it's understanding the full concept, understanding the totality.
Mr. Keshe, good morning.
Good morning, Mrs. Keshe.
How are you?
Still alive?
Can I ask you something?
You've been asking for 30 years, carry on.
Oh, we'll never stop asking, do we? You know,
There is Mr. Topoli.
yeah, very busy today. Shh, Topoli. You see, you teach the knowledge in certain levels. Now, we all understand and grasp that we are all equal. But some of us, let's say the ones which have gone into developing the star formation, the reactors, the magravs, the ganses, but they can't go higher because something is missing. I know you told us that everything is in full display, you just cannot connect it yet. Everything is already been done. It's just a matter of it's all coming together. What would be your message to the people which have not gone beyond the learning and acquiring the knowledge for making the ganses? How can they work through?
Carry on.
What can we receive from them, or how can they and for the world peace. What can they literally, can you explain how they can position themselves that they don't feel they're left out because they can't go higher into making magravs, star formations, because it goes above their maybe even their meanings to buy the stuff to make it. What would be your advice that they feel that they are part of this journey without having to display something or show something because it's just not within their grasp? We got a lot of knowledge seekers which are there, they're quiet because they have nothing to show. It's only the ones which have built the things that come forward, and they are going in progress. Some of them don't even dare to touch certain things because they have not understood, as you said. But how would be your message to them? How can they contribute to the Keshe family?
The strange thing is, the whole process of the teaching, complete from the beginning, is to achieve peace. And then through it, to achieve the ultimate goal of becoming part of the universal community, for the man to evolve. You don't need to make anything. You already have everything. Actually, the ones who do not make things and understand the technology are more far advanced than those who have to have the physicality, tangibility of the cancers and the rest. The tool of the man, if the hope or the wish is to achieve world peace, is within the soul of the man. Understanding the message is the point.
Can you repeat that message, please, in a simple way?
The message is the peace, is to give from one's soul. That's all. But those who are more physical and they have to have something to show, they keep on making these reactors and gases, and we have to show it can be done. But those who have never made a gas, Topoli, those who have never made a gas.
Topoli.
Here's Baba. Topoli John, quiet Baba John. The process of understanding is more important than process of making. You don't need to have a reactor, you don't need to make ganses to be able to understand the power of the soul of the man, or the physicality of the man. You are a container of the gans. The body of the man is 50 kilo, 100 kilo of gans. None of our knowledge seekers, except in factory production, we produce this amount of gans, and it's just variation. And secondly, existence, totality of the existence of these gases to create that dynamic, non-physical entity, which is the soul of the man. So, the one who have not made, but their wish is to create peace or whatever, they already have everything within them. You don't need a pen and a pencil to understand what is 2 plus 2. You don't have to write it. It's the desire to achieve, to give, which creates the condition. There is a problem if they have to do or they want to do, or it's what's got to do and what's in it for me. Everything is there. You don't need to make answers. You don't need to, because at the end of it, you make your answers. You make that hollow center, which is the soul of it. You already possess that soul. Your soul interacts with what you made. The new Chinese spaceship systems is very much designed that way. It's so elaborate, it's so complete, that replicates the creation of the soul of the man. So if the desire is there to be, it shall be. And you don't need to make ganses. This is what people have to confirm to themselves. They know something. You have 50 kilo, 60 kilo of ganses, which you have full control over its all dimensions with all the materials in this planet, called the body of the man. And all the essence in the field, what do you call it, essence, is within the soul of the man. Because you want to dictate, you cannot control. If you learn the language of love, which a lover always put himself lower than the loved one, this is the essence which the man has to understand. I love so much peace that I'm below those who are not. So they give. No one has understood this. We don't take by forcing, we take by being receiving. It's one of the attributes, humbleness. Water always falls down to a lower ground. You have to be that lower ground. When the water comes from a dam and it reaches lower level, it gives its energy. The dam with full of water up there has lost it because the one at the bottom has received it. This is what man does not understand. And it's within grasp of every man. Thou shalt not steal, but I can be lower than to be given. It's the beginning, it's the first teachings about plasma. The more powerful, the stronger always gives. But if you're low enough, it's got to give so much that it's got nothing for itself to balance with you as you are, to become humble, till the water reaches the ground. Then you're the same river. So, do you need ganses? Make 50 kilo of it at every element and then call it the body of the man. And then within the soul of the man. You don't need to be this understanding, and somehow nobody understands. So we keep on playing around till somebody somewhere understands, and one at a time graduate. Listen to the story of Shirina Farhat. Listen to the story of Romeo and Juliet. Listen to the story of all the lovers. The lover puts always himself lower. In fact, it's not that, because by being lower, it receives the attention, it receives the energy which it needs to elevate it to the same soul as the other. And when the other one gives, it's not at the same level of it was. So, which president would like to play with me? No lying, no cheating.
Sir, could we compare it with a beggar? He sits on the floor and just offers love and extends his hand to receive the giving.
You don't need to extend your hand.
Exactly.
Yeah, some lovers are very, some beggars are very rich, they got millions in the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's understanding that counts, that brings the position. You don't need to make any guesses. Those who are physical, we have to show all the games because somewhere they might see something. This is part of the whole structure of teaching, giving man the knowledge of the universe. And this is understanding the basic of it, which is what it is. I said when I take man to space, he'll be equal as the others. This is and serving comes from humbleness, not from arrogance. Any other question?
Evelyn had a question she put in the chat. I made a carbon GANs with fullerene C60 and shungite powder GANs. I sprayed this GANs water on plastic apparently with it and let it dry. Then I checked it with a diamond tester and it showed a diamond structure. Do the plasma fields travel through the diamond structure of the carbon in the plastic that I sprayed with the carbon GANs? I'm writing this because my English is not very good, she says.
I think your English was good enough, you knew what to do.
That's pretty much what I was going to say as a response. It seems like she knows what she's doing.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe.
Morning, also.
I have a question. I did a couple of tests trying to use my body to go to space. So
Have you flown yet?
What happened?
Have you flown yet?
Not yet, but something happened. Once I just sat down and I calm and I quiet my mind and I asked, I wish to go to space and join there and see other planets and other entities. And nothing happened. So I made a bath water and with the salt and I put some gas in it and I sat in it and I went under the water and I wished for it. The minute I wished for it, my heart started to palpate. I mean, my heart started to race, and it was certain communication between my soul and my heart. I didn't know what was going on, but it started to happen. Then I stopped, and it stopped. Then again, I did the same thing. The same thing started to happen. It was some like a vibration going between my head and my heart, and the heart was going very fast. So I came out and I started to try to do the same thing outside, but it didn't happen outside. Then I made another week. I made another bathtub and with the salt and a little bit gans. The same thing happened, but the question is, what is the next? I mean, how can I improve on that? I mean,
I don't know. Have you, one of the things which is part of the evolution of understanding, it's maybe far-fetched for 99.9% of our listeners or people, is you can position part of your souls outside your body, that it becomes part of your existence. It's like a twin. It sees the tangibility of the physicality, but is aware of the existence of the soul. And the same with the tangibility of the soul, physicality itself which sees the soul. So in a way, You can sit outside your existence and watch the behavior of the physicality, to be detached from it. But in a way you give more of to be able to see the less of, which is your physicality. In a way you become witness to your own behavior. Then you can separate the physicality from the soul of the man. In a way you still carry the soul, but in the dimension of the control outside the physicality of body. I do this a lot. You are aware, you are present to the presence of the physicality, but you are not part of it. But in a way, you're not dead either, because you're still involved in the interaction of the physicality. I've said that many times to Karen. I sit outside and watch my physicality doing what it does. And you can do this in any shape or form. Be it making love to your partner, being writing something, being making something. Am I doing this thing right? I sit outside it. I watch it. Is this what this body doing is correct? And what is the next step? What do I want to do with it? But this is in a way what our soul does when the physicality is asleep. There's nothing strange. It's just knowing how to do it, how to reach it. But you become mature enough that you don't need to let the body to rest. You can still do in the presence of watching your own. Is this conduct correct? Is what I'm saying correct? You become listener to your own physicality. And then you change through that, the soul which is there, to change the physicality. Day of judgment. You judge your own conduct of physicality through your soul. It can be done. Just because you think you do it in the sleep, the soul goes somewhere else. You can do it if you're mature enough to do it in time of sleep. And you can even manifest yourself in two places, because the soul manifests itself in that position according to the environment. I was listening to the declaration of President Trump with what excuses we are going to bomb Iran. And I sat outside and watched. And I listened. And I thought, does this man know what I can do with him? I can make him to come to his knees and pray, beg for life, that he never makes such a mistake. The same with Prime Minister of Israel. I just take their soul, sitting outside their body, being aware of their misconduct. You don't need to be somewhere. You can apply and imply it. These people don't understand the power we carry, and we can implement it. When we bring the head of a nation down, the whole nation goes. And this is what they're asking for. Maybe this is what we have to show. I can bring world leaders to their knees, those who claim war and conflict, and you will see. Because we are not creating war. This brings peace, brings humiliation, that it leads to peace. I listen to the talk. We give 3 to 6 months to the American companies to stop all the contracts what they started. But does it say it'll be another 10 million jobs gone out of the workshops of the Euro-American government people? Would the government support 10 million jobs? Because that's what is created. The buoyant economy comes out of the Iranian contract. Now take 10 out. In 4 years' time, we'll be back in. Why should we let the nation suffer again through it? So, a misconduct has to be corrected. If I have to interfere, I interfere, and I know how to do it. But then there'll be no mighty powers. There'll be equal powers. Don't touch me, because if I touch, I take everything out. This is why I started teaching today. There's no time and no space. There's no time when space does not exist, because there is no time for war and there is no space for killing. And I'm bent backwards for peace. Any other question?
Yes, Mr. Keshe.
Yes, miss.
How can we help you?
Understand the teaching and act upon it. I promise no one will be harmed from this technology. But I didn't promise I will take everyone out of the harm way by those who create harm. New time, new space. That applies to the soul as well. There is an interesting point with the new development of the spaceship systems, is that because it doesn't carry anything on the matter of the carbon and doesn't carry any matter of what I call gold, but it carries the strength of it. If it's expanded to the dimension of the gold and carbon, will paralyze a lot of things in the world of electronics. This is a weakness in the structure of present science of man. It's very easy to implement peace, but man has to become peaceful by nature, and this is what we need to do.
Mr. Keshe, we have a message from Peter in the chat. It actually comes from Adrian, I believe, who says, Mr. Keshe, I begin to understand the power of field strength as I go about my everyday, positioning and repositioning myself as matter and sending and directing my packages in love to others. The outcomes are an immense joy, trust, and confidence in this. The soul is truly elegant, wings growing in my matterous state as I position and reposition in loving intent. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. You are the loveliest of teachers. That's from Adrian. And we have some questions from Marius as well, who has his hand up now, if you're willing to take some questions, Mr. Keshe.
Carry on.
Marius, would you like to go ahead? I could read your questions in the chat, but it's better if you just say what you'd like to say.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. This is Marius from Romania, and I have a humble question. So let's assume that we all around the world start spinning simultaneously our CO2 and zinc reactors. So as a result, is it possible to obtain a plasmatic grid of plasma fields? And this grid, is it possible to answer better to our intentions as synchronized intentions? For example, if we want to help for environment decontamination or for soul feeding and becoming more peaceful.
You can do. This is one of the effects which scientists are noticing in the past few years. Things are changing on this planet. We see a lot of reports coming, but it's got nothing to do with the structure of the planet. This is partially and in very effective way. There are thousands of people who made a lot of ganses. You see, you wash your GANS plates. You wash your containers after you made the nano coating, and you wash your ganses, and you wash the ganses again to get rid of salt. Where does waters go to?
Well, I personally keep them in bottles. But,
Yes, but a lot of us don't do. Even if you do, you still create position.
Yes.
So in a way, in a direct way, we are changing an environment. We are changing the energy system. You know the way. I was explaining this one to a military guy very recently, and he laughed in a funny way. You know, we're talking about global warming and the exhaust from the cars that is creating all this problem. We are creating the same solution through the GANs production, but more effective way, because it's actually is the essence of it. The more and more people make these things and they add, they create, the millions of gallons are getting made by people. Thousands and thousands of gallons of GANs water goes down the chute, being washed or produced, and it's all zinc and copper. We are changing. What they call it, GANs contamination, most probably, or GANs cleanup.
Yes. My concern was that forests around the world are disappearing very, very fast. And my wish is to rebalance the environment as it was before human intervention. And I'm afraid we need a faster way to do that.
We are developing, we are involved in a massive operation this way. I'm personally involved in it, and people around me who know. We are massive. We are getting involved in a climate change, but in essence of not touching the geophysics. In next 2-3 weeks, we are getting, actually we are already involved. It's just a matter of we will intervene in a massive scale land reclamation. That's part of the Keshe Foundation work. I'm coming to the foundation into it. We're talking huge, huge, beyond your imagination area. If that we do not want to and will not touch the physics, but will change the climate of it, and will bring a lot of lands into fertile condition. be it for plantation or whatever. But you got to understand, we need every condition on this planet, otherwise the cycle of life on this planet does not exist. We can't make all the deserts green because the deserts have the function to create the circulation. The trees we destroy always has been destroyed. We are worried about one tree, one thing. Look at the forest fires which come, millions of hectares burns every year, but the new life come out of it. But we are claiming, but on the other hand, part of the process, this planet is very versatile. It finds a new way for living. Carla was telling me a few days ago, can you find a solution for all these plastic bottles? You wait and see what these plastic bottles will do for the cycle of man in the time to come.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much for all your help.
Thank you.
Brett had another question regarding lift to get the craft off the ground. Brett, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, Mr. Keshe. How can I say this? I had a thought. If you could clear this, what you have on the screen for a second, and draw something for me, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So you have the 4 hemispheres of the brain. So let's say they were opposed coils, but just draw them as balls, and you put 4, and in the center, the soul lives. So if we wanted to get a craft off the ground, which has been the bugbear of many people throughout the galaxy, am I right in thinking if you were to draw now the star formation below that, am I wrong in thinking that if you put a partly dielectric and nano-coated, say a tube, say that those were flipped up on a flat plane, if you went down about 1/3 of the way and then put a circle around that.
Where do you want me to go?
Just about 1/3 of the way down after the forward circles.
Somewhere here?
Yep. Yeah, somewhere, that'll do.
Yeah.
So there was just say a piece of copper pipe that ran around that was nano-coated only on the inside, but not on the outside. So it was still dielectric. If
I don't understand.
Okay. So we have.
Why don't you draw, Brett, and then you can explain that way, perhaps.
I'll try, but my mousy stuff is generally pretty bad. No, I don't have any options to do that.
Okay, I'll just explain then.
I'm trying to see where does this go.
Okay, so what my thoughts are is that you have the human head, the 4 hemispheres, and the soul in the center. If you were to place a dielectric circle around that, say at shoulder length, for instance, for the human body, and it was copper on the outside and nano-coated on the inside, you would then create a lift function to get the craft off the ground.
You forgot that the man has got a neck.
Say again?
I think you've forgotten that man has a neck.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, but somewhere around the shoulderish part, you could create an upwards motion like a vacuum above the ship to get it off the ground so that it was no longer in contact. And then we could then engage those drives, which were our star formation. Am I thinking incorrectly?
If you're going that far, why don't you go a step further and use one of the chakra points?
Use one of them. Didn't understand what you said.
One of the chakra points. Chakras.
Ah, right.
It's God-given design. Why do you want to put something which has got a leakage through the neural system?
I was only using the shoulders as a...
Yeah, you see, partially man has to learn how to use what we call as a point of energy, which is again plasmatic. If you go back to the basic knowledge of electron and a proton, that the distance position creates, well, if you have a third position, you can dictate with it. You can use the energy of the soul of the man and the heart of the man. And with a heart rhythm, you can move the body of the man. It's how you can add from the total physicality. One of the biggest chakras of the man is the chakra, the heart itself. Because it's the only one which you can control very dynamic. You have electron, you create a position of it. It's fixed, so only thing left is the body of the man in respect to his position. If that's your wish.
I was really talking about a ship design so that you could get it off the ground, because the
This
problem...
gets you off the ground much faster. This is, you don't need anything, you just got to know how to link into it.
Okay, thank you very much. Love you.
Thank you very much. There's a lot to learn. You got to understand something which is has not understood, because it's so much part of us that we don't even think about it. We've done it so much that we lost the essence of it. This is the body of the man. Then this is the ground. What makes you jump? Do you remember a couple of weeks ago, I explained, I asked a question, if anybody understood, that where is our thought coming from? Where does the initial essence comes that I even speak a word? Because it's predictated, predetermined, I just make the noise, the voice. But it's predictated, predetermined by the emotional part of the body which gets the information or energy from the soul. This is another example. I referred to this some times ago and nobody understands. Maybe you understand, maybe somebody might understand. Even if you go back to a single, one leg down, one leg up. What is the position of this leg? What has made you to put this foot up here and this foot is still here? How come we can create the energy muscle? Because it's what you call it, anti-gravity, to raise it up. And we do it through the essence of the soul and physicality, but we never thought about it. Even when you jump, you have to be able to create a condition that it goes opposite to the strength field of the planet. So we already have this in our structure. But now is how much can you use it that you stay up here all the time? Now you see, we know everything. As a humans, we know everything. We just done it so much that we don't want to understand now. It's us who's in position of it and in a position of it. If you can raise your foot half a centimeter off the ground, or a meter off the ground, and you decided, so you have already know how to create a gravitational system. But where does it come from? You contract the muscle, which that contraction has to create a field strength against the pull of the earth. These are what now you have to answer. Then do we need the shoes? Or if we know, we can already hover. Because we can do it for a few seconds. And the decision made in the physicality part of the body to create such a field, which is less than the gravitational pull of the earth. So we need to extend and understand this further. Then we can fly. And then you get yourself up, but how you make the direction and the motion and how you do it. Just 1 second, please. 12. Yeah, by 12. Okay, thank you very much. So this comes to the position of what and how. So we already know. Now you're a spaceship standing in the air. How do you turn this body? Can you use the soul of the physicality of the foot to the soul of the man and change or turn? Or do you go like, when you get a dog in your arms, the minute you near the water, the arm just pedaling before even you touch the water? We know all the knowledge, but we have ignored it ourselves to it. Man needs to learn more about himself. Then he'll understand he's very strong and powerful.
As Dan says in the chat, I don't need reactors. I have 75 kilograms of multiple GANs. I have emotion. For flying, I don't need CH3 in my starship. I have my soul and my heart and my brain. Is it enough?
It's more than enough. You just need 1 gram of it. How much gas do you put in these rotating cores? 1 gram? If you have altogether 5 gram of it in a star formation, then let's calculate. You got 60 kilogram. That's that divided by 5. You can make 12,000 spaceships.
That would be enough to keep any creator busy, I would think.
He's been busy long enough.
Mr. Keshe, I had the strangest dream. If you remember, in old time, they used to use. My grandmother used to do it. Winter time, they used to do kolsi. That they take the charcoal, they put it in this round black thing, and then it has a string attached to it, and she would make it round in the air, and the charcoal get fired up, and she would put it into the little hole in the room, so she could make the kolsi up. So I saw kids having that, but coming out of it on four sides, it was nano-coated coil, and then they were moving it like that in the air, and everybody was flying with just that. And it was the strangest thing I had, but it was so nice. Everything was lighting up with just like a four side of this round black charcoal. It was nano-coated, and it was like, you know how you make a capacitor for the maglev? They were that small on four sides, and as they're moving it fast, it would light up and everybody is flying up.
So what you're trying to explain?
I don't know, I was thinking maybe I should make one, maybe we can fly like that.
I don't know. Any other question, or shall we call it a day? It's nearly 2.5 years.
I'm just checking on the live stream here.
If you listen, I taught a lot today, but you have to understand it. Teachings are not subject in one part. It's collection of teachings that is covering different parts. But today's teaching, if you understood even the beginning of it, the time and the space, and the condition of the creation of what I call fields without dimension, this should give you a lot to target for the new understanding, new process. As I said, with the Chinese Keshe Foundation team, we will show and we deliver a full flight system in a very short time, as we are perfecting the whole technology that they understand. And then there will be totally at discretion of the Chinese leadership to demonstrate the power of the technology as the Iranian did with the drone. And our work is targeting one direction, not to humiliate no nation and not to bring anyone to be more powerful, but is to bring everybody to be equal, that the peace prevails. I hope, and my deepest wish is, I don't have to interfere. Those in the space who know when I interfere, I'm merciless. One day when man opens the spans of universe and knows the capability of the power we carry, when we have to interfere, we have no mercy. Because it's got to the point that it has to be written from fresh. Maybe I have to go as far back as Judaism and beginning of Moses, before that name was ever created. maybe we have to go before establishment of what they call as a new continent discovery. What we call it Back to the Future. Maybe we have to play that game and raise the two from the history of the man.
Well, you mentioned that, Mr. Keshe. I was thinking of the game Family Feud, they used to call it. It seems to be this is like Family Feud on steroids over the planet. This is the ancient families still feuding, basically. And we have Mr. Trump as the moderator of this Family Feud. That's what he's good at, is TV shows. I can't believe it's so ironic, but it seems to be like that.
I think the presidential has made a mistake with the show, TV show. This is real. That's the biggest problem.
Mm-hmm.
This is a game of peace.
Will it take those families to come together to create that peace?
I was writing to one of our people who was complaining to me about something a prime minister was doing, and I explained that you have to see what these people have sold their bank accounts to. And this is what the problem is. It's all to do with power, position, and finance, and it can be stopped. It can be stopped fairly rapidly. This is power play, and we don't play. We just have the power we can show.
But Mr. Keshe, they don't have any support because the other countries, China, Russia.
Well, I don't get into the politics of it. This is maybe to show the test and power of the time of the peace has come for man. You know, you sit and watch your child doing something wrong till the time you're going to slap on the hand, say you don't do it. How many times I told you? We're getting to that slapping time. But when we slap, we wipe it out.
That's exactly what I'm thinking about. That the father must act.
Let the child play. He might learn something. Thank you very much for today. And we'll see you next week. But next week, please bring all the things you have developed in the space development in left and whatever motion. Don't be ashamed, because the first man, when he showed the first thing, they laughed, but at the end they found that this works, is correct. The hanging reactors, reactors from the leaf of a tree, whatever, you can show the development. We are there to add to the knowledge. Maybe we have to learn it for the next stage of development, space development. Thank you very much for today, and thank you very much, Rick.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. That sounds like a good challenge for next week, and we'll try to work with that in the plasma reactor group as well.
See how many of your team will show something.
Mm-hmm.
We say Keshe Foundation team against what do you call it, the reality team. You're the reality guys. Show us what you do.
Okay.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much once again, Mr. Keshe, for the 223rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, May 10th, 2018. And I think Flint has something to take us out on here. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and we'll see you next week.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate.
The process of understanding is very simple. The process is, as I explained last time, I explained more in detail. We are created out of the rays within the center of the universe. In interaction and reduction in strength and division by the strength in certain strength fields, in collection of the totality of the expansion of the universe, some energies, some dynamic fields have come together. Over billions of years, these fields lead to the creation of what we call the sun. Where the plasma gathers together. The same process repeats again because the sun is the same as the energy center of the universe. Now, the heavier, the larger amount of the energy which is collected in this span of the universe, called the sun, that irradiates out, does the same thing again. Radiates its fields out, and in interaction with the itself, with the fields of itself, leads to creation of planet. In that process of the creation of planet, the same process happens again. In the interaction of the fields of the earth with its environment and cooling and exchange with the strength of the other things in the environment of the space of the solar system, leads to creation of man, cell, matter state. And that itself, in coming together and slowing down in certain ways, as we call, leads to another sun. We call the soul of the man. This is the truth about the life and creation of the man. But if the soul of the man can understand and absorb and be correct with his conduct, he can become the strength of the fields and carry the strength of the field of the planet which came to his creation. And if the soul can understand with the same process, can interact, can be correct, can absorb with itself the totality of the strength of what it needs, it shall become the sun. And then the same soul has the energy that it can absorb within the solar system, within the galaxy, shall become the center of the universe. Earth, we call it the rain, come from and goes back to. solar system, we call it planetary system. We come from the rays, we become the planet, and we go back to the mother. The same thing happens with the galaxies, with the solar systems, which they get absorbed back in and they chewed up back into the universe. The life, the process of existence in the universe is the same. It doesn't matter what exchange and what extent. So, what is the man fighting for? Why do we fight for something which has come from the point of the creation, and in the process it goes back to the creation? The soul of the man, as the energy of the earth, gives the face of the man, the face of the earth, and that process is the same for the soul of the man. Our soul, in reduction in strength, in interaction with the emotion of the field of the environment, leads to manifestation of the existence of the man. But once it's completed, does it need the face? Or can it be and becomes free from it, what we call the soul of the man, be free and detached from its existence? Our soul is part of the process of the creation. The key to one question, who man shall be in the future, to be answered. As we saw the sun became the earth, and as we saw the earth became man's soul, what will be the destiny of the soul of the man now becomes free at the point of departure from physicality. Would it become the sun for creation of another life, or many lives, or correction of lives? This shall be, and this is how it happens. When you create a soul which is not correct, which is misconduct by itself cannot give, you lead to the creation of this next cycle of creation, which has started the wrong way, the wrong strength. This is one thing the man has never understood. You become the creator of another universe, another cycle. And this is what you have to judge within the structure of the soul of the man. What would I like that cycle to be? In the physical life, we create children. In the dimension of the life of the soul of the man, what that soul will create. If man has thought up to now, that's it, my end, my point, when I die is finished, there's as much fallacy that when the sun is destroyed in any shape or form, there shall be nothing left. But we know the part of the sun becomes part of the galaxy and becomes part of new life. So shall be the soul of the man. The judgment of the man has to be according to what he sees the future his soul can conduct to be. The day of judgment is for the man, not in front of the Creator. That what my soul judges to be and what shall create. Man never understood and shall never understand till can solve this dilemma within itself. The reality is very, very, very real. And that is, as we've seen, the energy of the galaxy become the sun, the energy of the sun has become the earth, and the energy of the earth has become the soul of the man. So shall be the soul of the man, which is the energy itself, another cycle of life. How can you change when you don't understand? How can you change the process of understanding if you do not understand the process of the creation? Do we need to extend the understanding of the man that what is the future he brings? We care about our children, what education they get, what they wear, how happy they'll be, where they sleep. Now the man has to be careful and consider, what life shall my soul create? Because those are the children of your soul. As we see, the rays of the sun has become a planet and 7 billion children of it. 7 billion unlimited, which is growing. So the soul of the man will go through the same process. How many billions and subdivisions and sub-matter state of the physicality of the man your soul shall create? Would it be the soul of wars and conflict and forever killing? Or would it be the soul of this, let's say, solar system, which is peaceful? This is the truth and the reality about the soul of the man. First of all, as I said many times recently, we never understood that the soul of the man is within the structure of the man. And now that we understood, we understand on departure from the physicality of the man, the same process will carry on as it did for a star, a planet. And the soul of the man becomes another energy source, a higher order, which itself leads to the creation. It becomes the star, it becomes the center of the new cycle of creation. This is what the human race has to understand. The cycle actually starts from the point of death and not finishes at the point of death. In so many ways, if one understands, is as the dusts, specks of dust came together to make the earth in the solar system, so has the specks of the atoms has come to be the creator of the man. And the essence of the creation of the specks of dust of the solar system has led to the creation of man. So shall be the fields from the soul of the man which lead to creation of another cycle of life. What kind of life man would like to have to be created by his soul? This is the day of judgment. This is what man never understood. Now you have to understand. You have no choice. Up to today you were not aware of it. From today you are aware of it. You are responsible for it. Your conduct has to be to elevate your soul. That in elevating the soul, what you become the creator of stands correct in the conduct of the citizens. We don't give fairy tale. This is the truth. But as you've seen, the process does not stop with one sun. The cycle carries on. It's very interesting in how humanity now knows in fact to handle the fact. It'll take decades for man to understand, and then you understand those who become the tools of war, the tools of conflict. They have nothing to start with. They have to become the dust in the solar systems of the others till the day they learn more, as they cannot create a new cycle through their own soul. This is the elevation of the soul of the man. To be part of the creation of a beautiful life for the next cycle. When you don't have it, you have to become another cell in the body of the structure of the bigger, for you to be just there that you can done when you could have been the soul of the man. They say, do not create fear. I give you the point of love for creation. If you cared about your children on this planet to have the best, your true children come out of your own soul in the coming time. How would you like to educate them? How would you like to be when you are in conflict with yourself and the cause of so much mayhem? This is the truth, and the man will take a long time to understand, as now that we understand the soul of the man is an operator for the creation of the future extent of the life of the man. Whatever is gathered by the soul at the end becomes his point of reference of his own creation of his own dimension. But the strangest thing is, what he creates from his soul shall become the creator of the other souls. This is the beauty about the creation, and one understands it, understands no limitation.